All right. So I was kind of like, between a bunch of different things for what I was going to talk about today. I was originally going to do something sound oriented, but I'm saving that for another date because I've got a special guest who unfortunately wasn't able to be part of it today, but they will be part of it, fingers crossed, this coming Sunday. So, but for now, hey Anna! Oh my God, hi! I love you. I miss you. Sorry. So yeah, today's episode of Attunement, though, I had another thought. I was like, maybe let's focus on the inner child, right? But then after listening to that song, I think I'm gonna focus on boundaries today. And I don't have anything printed for it, because usually I have like a little like tidbit that I want to share that's printed. So this is kind of gonna be on the fly. But yeah, basically, if you're new to this or you haven't been here yet, or if you haven't really understood what the fuck I'm doing so far, I'm basically, this live is just to kind of go through and give you my thoughts and discuss with you guys just different things that have helped me heal, that have helped me on my journey of healing myself and my, loved ones in turn. Because when we heal ourselves, we heal those around us. Just simply by showing up as our healed selves, So something I want to talk about, the song 50 Feet, I talk about wanting space, space away from toxicity, negativity, anything that having to do with motherfuckers who don't have time or energy to give you love. So let's do a deep dive into that then. So one of the biggest things that helped me understand, so part of the healing process is going in a deep dive, right? And you kind of go into a deep dive of all of the reasons why, you're showing up as a reactionary self, or you're showing up as anything but your true nature to triggering situations, right? And one of the biggest things that has helped me in learning to show up to my full capacity and, as the light being that I know I am, has been boundaries. Boundaries are so important. Communicating what you need is super important, because we kind of all think that, this person should know that I don't like this, or they should know that I don't like that, or they should know that I'm sensitive. And this is something that was a big deal for me in past relationships as well, was like, I'm very sensitive, and I expected my partner to respect that and know that about me off bat. But because we all have different ways of expressing things that we've been through, things that we, things that make up our reality individually, it's hard sometimes when you're trying to navigate your own reality to really know what's going on in someone else's psyche, especially if they aren't communicating it to you, right? So, and that was kind of the same case on my end. I was expecting that my partner would be able to know how I was feeling and just do what I needed. Pero that's not how it goes, honeys. That's not how it goes. You have to be very clear and communicative when you're being communicative. So, boundaries. Healthy boundaries. Your energy deserves to be protected. Let people know how they make you feel. Don't just talk shit about them behind their back about how they make you feel. Talk to them about how they make you feel. Be like, hey, for example, let's say you don't like it when your mom comments about your weight, right? And a lot of the time, there's parents who will break your boundaries, who will not respect you as an individual. There's people in general, not just parents, but a lot of parents, they've been given very specific tools and guidelines for how to be an adult, or they haven't been given any tools or guidelines on how to be adult, really. All of us are just kind of flailing around on this planet trying to figure out what love means, trying to figure out how to really show up. Oh, perfect. Oh, look, I love God. Yes. I'm reading right now All About Love by Bell Hooks, and I've continuously said that. But in that book, she talks a lot about just our lack of definition for love and what it truly means, And I think that it's an important part of creating boundaries is knowing what true love looks like. And the way that she defines it, which I think is so beautiful, is that love is intentionally engaging in a partnership or a relationship to where you both hold each other's spiritual growth in your hearts, like that's the goal, is that you both grow spiritually, either with each other, or towards your own individual selves. But evidently the goal is growth. And then there's different pillars involved in it. You need respect, you need communication. There needs to be just kind of a default setting for both of you and how you're going to respect one another. Ooh, someone said clean the camera. Let's try that. Woo! Am I clearer? I'm a little oily. I just got out the shower and I'm like covered in coconut oil. So the coconut oil might have gotten a little bit on the camera. I apologize. So yeah, I feel like one of the biggest things that's helped me is definitely creating boundaries and letting people know, like, hey, I don't have the capacity for this conversation right now. You know what? I'm not going to argue with you. I don't like arguing. So you can scream at yourself and I'm going to walk out of this room. Actually, I don't have the capacity to have this conversation with you right now. I'm going through my own trauma and I can't be there for you right now. Or, hey, I can't go out because I'm social distancing and I actually respect that rule. There's all kinds of different ways that you can create boundaries and state your boundaries. But boundaries essentially are just trying to find ways for you to express yourself without having to come into contact with your lower self, right? So it's a lot of the time when we're triggered by things, the reaction is immediate. You know what I mean? You don't even think about, I'm becoming, excuse me, I was reading a comment, but, I forgot what I was saying. Excuse me. I need to not do that. I need to focus. Oh shit. Whoops. Sorry. Hurt myself. What was I saying? I literally forgot what I was saying. I'm not even high, y'all. I'm sober. Oof. But basically, let's just go back into it. Boundaries. So creating those boundaries for yourself is like super fucking important. And again, a huge indicator of someone that probably shouldn't be in your life or that you should create even stronger boundaries with are people who do not respect you when you talk about what you need, If you are telling someone, hey, I don't have the capacity to have a conversation with you where you're yelling at me, I deserve respect. I deserve for you to speak to me like I'm a human being, not a dog. Or not even a dog. You shouldn't be talking to your dog like that. I yell at Cleo a lot, but, it's important. So even just saying something like that, if the person that you're with, whether it's a romantic partner or a sibling or a friend or a parent, if they don't respect you wanting respect when you're having a conversation, that's a person that you, might want to distance yourself from and create that kind of boundary with, where you don't speak to them as much, or you kind of, protect your energy from theirs. Or they're going to respond or react, in a way that allows you that space to be who you need to be in that moment, or who you need to be to show up as your full potential self, as your full highest self. Because that's the most important thing, is that you're protecting your energy. Gotta protect me. You gotta protect your energy. You have to protect your energy. You can't be giving your energy away to people, y'all. You can't. You're gonna deplete yourself. A lot of the anxiety and depression that I've felt in my life has stemmed majorly from compromising my truths and compromising what makes me happy, what makes me feel comfortable for the sake of someone else's comfortability, for the sake of not starting a fight, for the sake of staying in my place, for the sake of being quote unquote pleasant and respectful. Because especially as a woman, and I'm white, privileged woman, I'm Latina, pero I have, clearly white skin and light eyes, so I have a lot more privilege because a lot of, people of color and Black women especially, they get silenced way more often and way more disrespected than I even have to encounter. And women in general get disrespected on a regular basis, being that the binary somehow dictates that we are a par to men, you know. But again, even in that, there's a range of the ways that different women experience that kind of disrespect. Because boundaries, you know, as women, we're taught that our boundaries don't matter, that we're supposed to be readily emotionally available to do whatever work is required of us emotionally and physically, at will, you know. And when we complain is what, you know, or when we have an opinion on that, you know, when we have a boundary where, you know, we've reached our maximum capacity, where we are not able to show up with our full self, you know, we get reprimanded, or we get silenced, or we get shit on, you know, emotionally, and gaslighted into believing that we have to do what is required of us, you know. And that's just, I'm here to tell you, that's bullshit. You are entitled to the protection of your energy. You are entitled to being respected. You are entitled to create the reality that you need for yourself. And if that includes telling people to fuck off, in nice terms, of course, tell them to fuck off in nice terms. Because your energy cannot be depleted in order for you to function properly in the world. Your cup has to be full in order for you to give the overflow. You cannot have an empty cup and expect to be able to show up for people without burning out. Even if, and this is another thing, is that I felt like when I didn't have the capacity, or when I couldn't do something that someone wanted from me, I felt really guilty and shameful. And I would come into, you know, the feelings of, that's kind of immediately when you put up a boundary, especially in a toxic relationship where you've never done this before. When you do put up that boundary, there's going to be retaliation. You know, there's going to be the, oh my God, you're so selfish. I can't believe that you would think that you're entitled to that. Because these are, again, people who have been depending on you and taking advantage of your energy for however long they have been, right? So they expect a certain kind of behavior from you, and they're gonna retaliate. They're gonna tell you that you're X, Y, and Z for wanting to protect your energy. And so here's another moment where I tell you, fuck them, and continue to create those boundaries and continue to let them know how they're making you feel. Granted, if someone disrespects your boundaries, if someone dismisses your boundaries, if someone continuously does so, because sometimes it takes a couple tries, you know what I mean? People aren't perfect. You know, when you're unlearning and relearning, it's a process, you know, so people aren't going to always be perfect off bat as far as giving you what you need. But it is important that if someone continues to violate your boundaries, that you really take a look at that relationship and how it is that you can show up in a way where that person is not depleting your energy anymore, that you're not giving them that kind of power over your life, over your soul. You know what I mean? That's something that's helped me. Oh my God, it's fixed half of my relationships, because again, I didn't feel like I was entitled to boundaries, you know what I mean? Especially when you're a kid, you're taught, you know, that you don't have a say in what happens, you know what I mean? Especially if you're currently still living with your parents, or you have whatever kind of, there's so many different ways that you guys can all be presenting in the world in your own realities. But it's difficult to ask for people to respect you when the default has always been disrespect. And it's also alarming for them, because they're so used to your energy that they're going to tell you that you're all of these things that you're not. They're going to tell you you're problematic. They're going to tell you you're selfish. They're going to tell you you're a coward for not wanting to talk to them when in the heat of the moment, when they're upset. They're going to tell you all kinds of crazy shit. Toxic people say all kinds of crazy shit. So just know, but grow to know in this practice that you are entitled to your space. You are entitled to your power. You are entitled to feeling full before having to give. I feel like it's a huge problem in society, is that, you know, we all work ridiculous hours and give so much of ourselves for the sake of whatever it is a paycheck, or, you know, a lot of people do different things for a living. And we give so much of ourselves from a societal standpoint that we've kind of been conditioned to think that, you know, survival is about working when we're depleted. whether that means emotional work, physical work, whatever it might be, you know. We've all been conditioned to feel like our own needs and desires are secondhand, you know what I mean? They're more on the back burner after everything gets done that needs to get done. And really, if you don't show up with a full cup, you're not really giving anything, you know? You're giving your emptiness, you're giving your, and it's way easier for your shadow self to get triggered, your lower self to get triggered, and to be the one who's present in those conversations and in those relationships when you're just doing too much. You're just doing too much and giving too much. It's super important to create boundaries and to live those boundaries and to continue to reiterate those boundaries. If said person is someone that you can't, you know, necessarily wean out of your life, if this is someone who you truly love and you really want to keep around and you really want to work on y'all's relationship, again, it's important also while you're asserting boundaries to let them know that they're allowed to have them too, you know. It's a two-way street, and it's super important for you to both, when you're coming to a conversation or when you're coming to an agreement or when you're coming to a partnership, you both need to be aware of your needs, communicative of your needs, and holding each other accountable, holding yourself accountable too, so that if you expect someone to respect your boundaries, you also have to respect theirs. Is a huge thing. And again, no one can read your mind. No one can feel the frustration that you're feeling. No one can hear the little conversation you're having with yourself in your head about how much this person's bothering you or how much this situation's bothering you. You know, you have to be vocal about it. You have to claim your power, own your power, and stay in your power. You know, don't let people take that shit away from you. It's not theirs, it's yours. And you deserve every ounce of that power. You were born and put in this place and take up the space you do, like in your body, because you're meant to be here and you're meant to be loved and you're meant to feel safe. You know, I feel like a lot of people, we just tolerate toxic people because we feel like there's nothing we can do about it, you know? And, you know, these conversations are uncomfortable and they're not going to bring up pleasant feelings, especially at first. At first, creating boundaries is a joke at first with toxic people. Like, woo! They're just like, what do you mean you think you have your own, like, energy? The fuck? You're here for me in my reality. And it's just like, nope. 50 feet. And I'm not picking up the fucking phone the next time you call. And if you can learn to respect my boundaries, maybe I'll pick up the phone again. You know? It's a matter of, again, recognizing your power, owning your power, and making sure that you know it deep down inside that you deserve respect. You deserve love. You deserve to feel safe. You do not have to put up with toxic ass people. You do not have to put up with toxic ass responses, reactions. And you can create the reality that you want for yourself. You just have to ask. You have to ask. You have to ask. That's the very first part of it, is you have to be vocal and communicative about what it is you want. And then you have to be disciplined about it. You know, you can't, because that's another thing, is like when you do get triggered, right, in these conversations, even while you're trying to create boundaries, how are you showing up to the conversation? Is the way that you're acting or reacting like feeding the narrative of toxicity? Or are you stepping away from it and being like, no. See, this conversation is going to make me act like someone I'm not. And I don't want to do that anymore, you know? Because that's the thing, is like, there's pieces of ourselves, our shadow selves, I feel like. I identify with my shadow self because I have to accept her and love her. But I also don't, because I know that I am my higher self. You know what I mean? So when my shadow self comes in, my lower vibrational self comes into the picture, I've tried lately to give her way more grace than I ever thought she deserved. You know what I mean? Because those shadow selves don't exist because you're a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, some of y'all are a piece of shit, but most of us, our shadow selves don't exist because we're a piece of shit. They exist because we've been hurt, we've been traumatized, we have gone through capitalism, fucking colonialism, fucking racism, fucking sexism, classism, all the isms. Throw all the isms into the pot, and that's what we're going through on a regular basis. On top of disrespecting each other, you know, there's just so many layers to the reasons why your shadow self exists, besides that this is my real self. You know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes we identify with our shadow self so much, or our lower vibrational selves. I say shadow self, that's how I describe it. So much that it becomes who we are, and it becomes who we think that is a default setting, you know? So when we get triggered, when people push our buttons and we, you know, react as such, we're like, oh yeah, that's just the way I am. That's just how the fuck I am. You know what I mean? Like, deal with it. And no, like, you have the capacity to control your reactions. And again, you have the capacity to create boundaries with people who bring your shadow self out of you, you know? Because you're not your shadow self. You are your shadow self, but you're also your higher self. And you're also your current self. You're a bunch of different selves at once. And most people call that craziness, but it's not craziness. It's reality. It's just the way that life was handed out to us, is that, you know, we have a part of ourselves that we constantly have to work on, who is that self. Again, I was going to talk about the inner child today. I'm going to go more in depth into the inner child in another episode, but she's important here because that shadow self is your inner child trying to act like an adult, right? So it's your inner child who was hurt by whatever it could have been. There are so many possibilities and so many different formulas as to why the little you that's still inside was hurt when they were younger. And they are so important to talk to and nurture and love. Because when you shit on a kid, like emotionally, like when you're like, tell them that they're a bad person for doing whatever it was mistake that they made, or whatever way they expressed themselves that didn't agree with you. When you tell a kid that, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but kids are really receptive to energy, so they'll immediately absorb what you're giving them, right? So imagine when you're talking to yourself, or when you show up as your triggered self, right? Your shadow self. And you're talking to that person. I personally am a fucking bitch to my inner child, my inner little tantrum child. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Like, you're this, you're that, you're stupid, you're whatever. I call myself called. Honestly, I'm working on it, so I've gotten a lot better at it, but I used to be so mean to the worst parts of myself, you know? And the meaner you are to them, the more shameful they feel, the more guilty they feel. And those two feelings, that shame and that guilt, it's not going to heal shit. It's not going to heal them. It's not going to make them feel better. It's not going to make them want to do better. It's just going to remind them that they're shitty, you know? So a huge part of that, I think, is doing that work with your inner child, and boundaries are a huge part of it, because when we were kids, we didn't know what boundaries were. We didn't have that language. We didn't have the capacity to understand, you know, and honestly, in a lot of cases, we don't even have the luxury of creating boundaries when we're younger. You know, some parents are really abusive. Some kids are really abusive in school. Some teachers are abusive in schools. Administrations are abusive. Fucking prison industrial complex could have gotten to you when you were younger. There's so many different layers of reasons why you could be feeling why you do, you know what I mean? So there's a myriad of ways that can represent itself as an adult now, you know? So taking the time to create those boundaries really helps create a safe space for your younger self to grow and to trust you. Because there's a lack of trust in yourself, essentially, when you're showing up as someone who you're not, or when your decisions are lining up with, or the decisions that you're making aren't aligning with what you know you need to be doing, the self-sabotage shit, you know? And that kind of stuff all stems from the trauma. So yeah, boundaries are hella important. Creating those boundaries, upholding those boundaries, holding people accountable, having consequences for people who break those boundaries, being serious about that, even though it might hurt you, and even though whatever they say back to you might hurt you even more and shame you into wanting to give in and just do whatever the fuck they're telling you to do. Just my advice, fuck them. Just fuck them. Do you, baby. Do you. Find your happiness. Keep your peace. Why you gotta give your peace away to people? It's not productive. That's what I've learned. If we're not having a productive, peaceful conversation where there's mutual respect for one another, I don't need to have this conversation. And if you can check the way that you approach me, then maybe we can have that conversation, you know? It's not necessarily about cutting people off forever. Some of them it is, though. Some people really don't deserve to be in your life. Some people you're holding on to because you think you need them, or you thought you needed them, or they've convinced you that you need them. But you don't need them. You don't need them. You don't need anyone whose purpose, it feels, is to take away your peace. You know? You don't deserve anyone who thinks that reprimanding you is the way that they're going to get you to do what they want you to do. Especially if what they're asking of you is depleting you, you know? That's not love. You know? Real love holds space for your growth. Real love acknowledges when they're wrong. Real love will tell you when they're hurting so that you can show up better for them as well, because that's part of it, you know? We're not fucking perfect. So that's my rant on boundaries today. So I would love homework assignment for this topic. If you could write down some people in your life, like a list of I'd say like a minimum of 3. Because I'm sure you have a minimum of 3, right? Of people who you feel like you might need to create a boundary with. Whether that's your brother, your cousin, your best friend, your neighbor, your parents, your grandma, or that dude that you keep talking about that you think loves you but really, really fucking doesn't, and is really a narcissist who's obsessed with himself or herself or themselves. Those are all really valid people to write down on the list if any of that resonated with you. And just write down their name and then write down the boundaries. What are the ways in which they trigger you? What would you want to say to them? Maybe you write out, this is a journal entry, so you can do whatever you want with it. And this is literally something I'm making up as we speak. So this entire thing is just me making shit up as I speak. Well, not making shit up. I'm talking about some real shit, but flowing very freestyle energy. So yeah, write a letter to them each about how they've hurt you and how they can show up for you better so that y'all's relationship could be better. Or include someone on that list that you're just gonna cut the fuck off because you realize, oh shit, after this conversation, I'm realizing this person's a piece of shit. And they don't respect me, and they don't respect my energy at all, and they don't respect my boundaries, and every time that I express to them how I'm feeling, I end up in a fight. Or every time I express to them how they can show up better for me as a partner, they do a switch up blame game or bring up past shit or some other toxic bullshit. None of that. So if there's a person coming to mind right now, I'm talking to you, and you need to get the fuck out of that relationship. Okay? No matter what kind of relationship it is, it could be romantic, non-romantic, familial. It could be the relationship you have with yourself. You might need to create boundaries with yourself about how you speak to yourself. Writing affirmations down that you repeat to yourself, and you keep that promise to yourself to do that every morning. Whatever you're feeling, oh my God, do that. Write it down. I really highly, highly, highly recommend you doing that. Ooh, questions. Okay, wait. How do you separate people you want to cut off versus people that you want to set boundaries with? I think you should start with trying to set a boundary. Like, that would be the first part, right? So I think that exercise of writing the names down and then expressing to them how they make you feel in a written format with just you and yourself before you even talk to them in person, that'll help you get your ideas together about what it is that they really make you feel. Because a lot of the time, we're so gaslit by these toxic people that we don't even really know how the fuck we really feel. Because they tell you that you feel all these different things, and they, you know, give their energy and project their energy onto you. So sometimes you feel crazy and you feel like that's your shit to process, even though it's their shit that they have to process, right? So start there. Start with writing the name down, what you want to say to them or how they make you feel, and what you feel like that boundary is, and then try talking to them. If you don't feel safe talking to this person, I mean, like 10 out of 10, they should probably be one of the people you cut off. But if you feel safe enough to at least have the conversation, do that. And then based off of that conversation, they're either going to be violently non-receptive. They're going to be like, kind of like, I don't really get this, but all right, babe, you know, all right. Or they're just, or you'll be surprised at the fact that they just didn't know how you were feeling. Because a lot of the times we make up these scenarios in our head because we are not communicating what we really need, and we're not communicating what we really want. You know, I know that I've spent a lot of my life never talking about what I actually want, trying to people please and trying to make people feel better about themselves or better about my energy. Like, you know, that I come on too strong, that I'm too passionate, that I'm too aggressive. I've been told that a lot of times, you know, because I'm honest. I'm very honest and I'm very upfront. And sometimes my tone isn't cute. But see, that's my shadow self that I'm working on. You know what I mean? And that's part of the process, is like, you have to also realize when you have these conversations and when you start bringing up these boundary conversations, you might be confronted with parts of yourself that they've been holding on to inside. You know what I mean? Like, they might start sharing with you things that you do or ways that you act that they also don't feel comfortable with. And that's part of the process as well, is you owning up to the reasons why, you owning up to the shit that you do in the relationship, because we all do shit. We all are constantly getting triggered and projecting that, like I said, the younger self trying to be an adult. It's a little baby, a little kid. All right, picture like that. You know that baby picture I posted of myself? You know the one. You know the one. It's her. She's the one there, and she's the one like, I don't like this. This is me. That's what little me talks like. And she's going to be upset that someone's telling her that she has a problem. And she's going to be upset that someone's going to, you know, call it like it is. But if you want to have this, you know, this is about healing. This is about growing towards a higher version of yourself. If you are ready to have that conversation with other people, you have to be prepared for them to come back at you with the ways that you can show up better in the relationship as well. And that communication, even if it's just the beginning of that communication, is going to help you guys go forward. And again, no one's going to be perfect off bat, you know? If someone reacts violently and is like, fuck out of here, like, you're crazy, and tries to gaslight you and make you feel crazy about feelings that are very real to you, that person is toxic. That person does not deserve your energy. Anyone who truly loves you, all right, it might be difficult for them to have this conversation. They might be reactive, but again, if this is someone that's not, you know, because for me, it's like family members are harder for me, because it's like, if you're my family, period. And that's just me, you know what I mean? And everyone has a different relationship with their personal blood family, and you have every right to have your own personal relationship with your blood family. You know, there's also chosen family. Chosen family is important, super important. But for me, it's like blood family is really important to me as well. And each one of the people in my family are beautiful people, you know what I mean? And their souls. But of course, we all have toxic traits. So confronting those things and talking about those things sometimes is difficult. So when you're confronting people who you can't necessarily, quote unquote, get rid of, you know what I mean? You can't kick them out of your life because they are intimately a part of your life. That's going to take a lot more time. That's going to take a lot more energy on your part. It's all about how much you want to actually improve the relationship. It's not going to be a walk in the fucking park. It's going to be traumatic and triggering, and it's going to take intense conversation before you guys actually get to a space where you both understand each other to move forward in that and progress in that relationship. But if this is like a motherfucker that you picked up off the street, you know, like just you met him at a club, or you met him on fucking Tinder, or you met her on the internet, I don't know, like there's so many different ways people meet each other now, but those are the isn't it sad that those are like the first three that come to mind? Oh wow, met him at a cultural event. If that's the case, bitch, bye. Don't even entertain that shit. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do their healing work for them. You are not a fucking therapist. You are a person going through life. And granted, we can all be there for our friends, and we can be there for our loved ones, and we can be there for people. I'm not saying to cut people off or to, like, you know, stop having that kind of relationship with people, but again, if someone does not respect your boundaries set in place, someone does not respect your space, someone does not respect your expression, fuck them. Fuck them. Especially if they're gaslighting you, get the fuck out of there. Get out. Get out. You have so much worth. You are so worthy of love. You are so worthy of someone who understands you. You are so worthy of someone who cares about your fucking feelings. That's the bare fucking minimum in a relationship, is for someone to care about the way that they're making you feel. Don't let somebody tell you, oh, I cheated on you because I loved you, or I hit you because I loved you. No. That's just a false statement, you know? If someone loves you, they're communicating with you. If someone loves you, they respect you. If someone loves you, they're going to take the time out to have a conversation if they're feeling unhappy or unsatisfied. And if they don't, then first, I do suggest taking the initiative. Of course, if this is someone you love and this is someone you care about, someone you want to keep in your life, try it. Try having the conversation. Again, write down their name, write down how they make you feel, and how you would communicate to them how they make you feel. If it's too scary to try to do it on your own without your little piece of paper with you, take your little piece of paper with you. Be like, hey, I wrote something about how I've been feeling, and I wanted to know if we could talk. No. Don't be that like meek. Fucking own your power. Own your fucking power. Be like, hey, I want to talk to you about something. You know, this is something that's been on my heart and something that I've just been dealing with quietly, and I want to talk to you about it so that we can maybe work through it. You know? Importante. Confrontation is scary. Someone just said that. Confrontation is scary, bitch. I am the queen of non-confrontation, okay? Let me tell you, this is all the shit that I'm telling y'all, like, this is stuff that I'm currently working on, and I want to be so clear about that when I have these conversations. It's because these are things that I'm going through. These are things that I've learned. These are things that have helped me in my quest to be healed, to be at peace, to feel sane, and not to be like fucking crippling anxiety and like stress all the time. Stress causes disease, y'all. Like stress, all of this pain that we keep up inside, all of this trauma that we leave unhealed and don't look at and put in like a little compartment somewhere far away in the back of our minds, it's still there, and it truly feeds on a physical level. Like your body feels that shit. Your body feels that energy. Your body holds on to that energy. Better yet, disease, that's what it is. Not all of it, you know, of course. It's what you put in your body. It's what you eat. The air pollution, the water pollution. There's a lot of different reasons why the fuck we're sick, but a huge reason why we're sick is because on a mental scale, you got mind, body, soul, all right? If if all these three are not aligned, if your mind, body, soul ain't aligned, you're fucked. It's just, we're spiritual beings. That's what we are. We're spiritual beings. And if you don't have that in check, if you're not taking care of your body and you're putting all kinds of crazy shit in it all day, you know, there's a little junk food here and there, like, I'm not gonna knock you because I understand, bitch. Sometimes I have a little Rice Krispie treat. Sometimes I have a little Oreo. It's not good for me, but it happens. I'm a fucking human. Actually, my real weakness, though, I just made Rice Krispie treats. That's why, like, from scratch. So that's why I said that. But my real fucking weakness is ice cream, bro. I fucking love ice cream, but I literally can't eat it. Like, I'm lactose. You know what I mean? Like, dairy does not agree with me. Dairy does not agree with humans. So my body doesn't like it when I do it, but I do it sometimes. And that's okay. You know, this is growth. We're growing. And it's okay to be imperfect in that, you know? There was a point that I was on and I lost it. So let's see if there's any questions. Let's go to the question box. Question box. If there's a person, what if the person makes you feel insecure even without trying? How to work on that? If the person is making you feel insecure, first of all, you need to let them know that. You need to let them know, be like, oh, Julia. Just be like, yo, when you say tal cosa, whatever it is that they're saying to you that makes you feel insecure, it makes me feel insecure. It makes me feel unsafe. It makes me feel, whatever it is that makes you feel. Express how you're feeling and try to express without blame, because a lot of people don't react well to blame. So try to, again, when you're expressing to somebody how you're feeling, make sure that you keep it on yourself. You know what I mean? Like this, and it's just kind of like, I'm a sensitive individual. When you say these types of things to me, I get hurt. And I know it's unintentional on your part, but if you could be more conscious of that, I would really appreciate it. And if they don't listen, if they do not listen, baby, you do not deserve to have anyone around you that makes you feel insecure. You don't deserve that. Plain and simple. A lot of these issues that we have with setting boundaries stem from our own belief that we are unworthy of love, that we are unworthy of compassion, that we're unworthy of safety. And so if you're feeling, and another thing is, when we feel those things about ourselves, unfortunately, again, because we're energetic beings, we're spiritual beings, you bring what's in your energy into you, right? So you attract the law of attraction, essentially, what you think you become, what you are, what you eat, you are, right? So if you are having thoughts about yourself, right, where you feel like or you dog on yourself or whatever it is, you know what I mean? If you don't have a solid foundation of love for yourself, it's going to be really easy for someone to make you feel insecure. It's going to be really easy for you to attract somebody who is insensitive to that and who makes you feel insecure. If you make yourself feel insecure, then automatically your energy is at a frequency where you allow that into your life. And that's not to say that we all allow everything that we have in our lives into our lives because of our energy. Like, there's a lot of different things and systems and fucking all kinds of levels to the game here when it comes to why things are in our life. But a huge reason why, when it comes to emotional abuse, we attract that into our life is because we, on a deeper level, feel like we deserve to be talked to like that. We deserve to be treated like that, or we don't deserve better than that because it's been our only experience. So I would start with that. I would start with communicating to this person how they're making you feel. And if they don't respect that, baby, fuck them! Fuck them! Literally, fuck them. Like, seriously, though, fuck them. All right, next question. Let's see what's up. How can I know if I'm toxic? Bitch. I had to work on it. I had to work on it. Because, okay, how do you know you're toxic? How do you know you're toxic? This is important. This is important, but I'm trying to find like the right place to start with it. Holding yourself accountable. Observing the way that you respond to people when they're sharing vulnerable things with you. Listening. Are you really listening to people when they speak to you, or are you waiting to talk? Are you really listening, or are you waiting to fucking talk? Are you constantly in a space of insecurity and projecting that onto your partner, your friend, your family? Because you don't feel worthy, not because they're making you feel worthy, you know? Nobody can make you feel nothing. You're making yourself feel everything that you feel. You are in control of your emotions at all times. Emotions and feelings are ways that the body, gifts that God has given us, or spirit, or whoever you believe in. Emotions are a gift. And I never, ever, 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 ever thought my emotions were a gift. I was like, God, why? I have a whole song about it. You'll hear it. You'll hear it. Exactly how I feel about my emotions. Because I'm an empath on top of being a Cancer sun and a Scorpio moon. Like, bitch, I'm water, I'm soft, I'm sensitive, right? And so I learned that I am the only person that can control my feelings. And if I let my feelings control me, that's when I become toxic. When I allow what somebody else has made me feel, or when I allow myself to think that the way that I'm feeling has anything to do with someone else's treatment of me, that's when I have to like be like, okay, what am I missing here? What's the deeper issue, right? Because you cannot feel anything that you don't allow yourself to feel. Nobody can make you feel shit. If you have a deep sense of security, if you know who you are, if you show up as yourself every day, if you commit to those little promises that you make for yourself and with yourself, if you do that actively, you're not really thinking about what other people tell you. Because somebody can be like, oh, she's a piece of shit, or you're a piece of shit, and then you're just like, bro, like, I'm definitely not. Like, I don't know about that. I'm not a piece of shit. I show up like often for myself and others. You know what I mean? And that's, if you have a core value that you are committed to, that you will consistently act on, nobody can make you feel shit. Nobody can make you feel anything, because you know it's not true. Automatically, your heart will tell you, no, that's not truth. That doesn't align. And again, if someone's trying to make you feel that way, that person has their own insecurities going on inside of them. Their own shit going on inside of them. And depending on where you are with your growth level, that might not be the person that you need in your life, you know? So if someone's making you feel because then there's also the flip side of this, is like the how can I know if I'm toxic? Sometimes people will gaslight you into believing you're toxic because you have such a kind of low standard for yourself about what you deserve. You know, you have this deeper rooted feeling of lack of deservability where like you don't feel like you're lovable. And when you don't feel like you're lovable, then it's really easy for anybody who's a piece of shit to just walk on in and be like, you're not lovable because you're this and you're that and you're this and the other. But if you know who you are, nobody can tell you you're this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? Because you can navigate that. And if somebody's trying to make you feel like you're that, this, that, and the other, and you know that that's not who you are, that's an easy one. Walk away. Walk away. Walk away from anyone who does not remind you how motherfucking precious you are at all times. You are a star, honey. You are a beautiful angel of light. You were literally created to be here on this planet right now, to be the spiritual being that you are and complete your goddamn mission. You're not here to fight for people's feelings. If someone's making you feel all of that insecurity, you need to sit with yourself and you need to sit with why. Why am I feeling this? Why is this person telling me these things? And granted, you can be toxic. You can definitely be toxic. So just being self-aware is the most important part. That's the most important part of all of it, is the self-awareness, making sure that you are aware of your actions and your words. There's a book called The Four Agreements. The Four Agreements, where it tells you, or read the book. But basically, one of the things is that your word is one of the only things you have. So when you say, I'm a bad bitch, do you mean it? Do you think you're a bad bitch? Do you really think you're a bad bitch? Because if fulanito de tal comes around and says, you're not a bad bitch, are you going to be like, oh my God, he's right, I'm not a bad bitch. Oh my God, they saw it, they see it, they see that I'm not a bad bitch, fuck. If you know you're a bad bitch, fulanito de tal can come by and be like, you're not a bad bitch, and you'd be like, yo, fuck you, actually. Because I am a bad bitch, baby. Thanks for trying that, but no. You can keep walking. Keep going over there. I don't need you in my space. I don't need your bullshit. So, that's how you can know that you're toxic, is self-awareness. Next question. Next question. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, this is a good one. I always thought I needed to be rich to be worthy. Can we get a tear? Can we get a hallelujah? What is everyone feeling in that? Does anyone feel that statement? I always thought I needed to be rich to be worthy. How many motherfucking songs have you heard written by rich people? I say rich because I'm letting you know a lot of those motherfuckers don't know what the fuck rich means. Because rich is not just having money and spending it on, things that depreciate in value. Rich is, first of all, we all got different definitions of rich, right? You need to redefine what rich means to you. If you think that you need to be rich to be worthy, you need to redefine what rich means to you. Because rich is not being a fucking billionaire Kardashian energy. You know what I mean? That's not being rich. You can have every single yacht there was ever made. You can have a private jet. You can have hundreds and thousands of dollars that you throw on people and that you swim in and you hold as a phone or whatever the fuck you do with it, right? Besides giving it to people who need it. None of that makes you truly rich. At least not in the eyes of God. At least not in the eyes of the creator of spirit. No way. No way. And it's so incredible because we live in this capitalist society. We live in the United States of America, who claims to be the richest in the world, right? What are we seeing right now with the richest people in the world, right? Can't even take care of our own goddamn citizens. We can't even extend compassion to those who are less fortunate. We can't even extend decency to people who are truly suffering in the richest country there ever was, right? So what does it mean to be rich? It's having a bunch of money that you sit on in a nice house? No, baby. Being rich comes from in here. It comes from your soul. It is your capacity to be a good person. It's your capacity to love. That is wealth. Health. Health is wealth, my loves. Health. Because guess what? The richest billionaire of them all, if he got sick tomorrow and died, guess the fuck what? None of that money went with him. None of his yachts. None of his boats, none of the houses, none of them. And that's not to say that you don't deserve material wealth in this world to be comfortable and safe. You deserve that. You absolutely deserve that. Every single human being has a right to that, in my opinion. Everyone deserves to feel to be safe. And unfortunately, we've created a world for ourselves in which if you do not have monetary possession, you know, if you don't have material wealth, you can literally die. You will be left to starve. And people will watch it and be like, oh, he deserved it. He didn't work hard enough. That's the kind of world we live in. So, with that said, though, the wealth stems from inside. The wealth stems from your values, the way that you treat other people, your karmic debt. What are you putting out into the world? What are you putting out into the world? And by the way, someone just said, which is interesting as well, you're here complaining about rich people, but you're rich. First of all, stay out of my pockets because you've never seen my bank account statements, first of all. Second of all, again, like I said, we have every fucking right to material wealth in this realm. Do I believe in billionaires and excessive wealth? Absolutely not. I just don't. I don't believe in excessive wealth. And the reason isn't just because, you know, fuck the rich. Because a lot of people work really hard for what they have. And I respect that. It is important, especially in the world that we live in, that if you have access, especially as a privileged person, because I'm also very privileged in the way that I look, in the way that I was raised, in the way that everything. I'm privileged in so many different ways. It is important to be aware of the fact that there are people fucking starving in the same world you live in. That there are people who cannot afford to pay their rent. There's a gratitude that needs to come for what you have. And there's a lot of people, and most of what I've seen as far as billionaires goes, it's never fucking enough. They could have billions of dollars and it's still not enough, and they're still looking to exploit. And they're still looking towards greed. And that's what I have a problem with. Again, I have no problem with people who have material wealth. It is, again, important to have material wealth. There's a difference between having material wealth and being comfortable and being safe for you and your family, you know, which is within our rights as human beings. I think that is within our rights in this particular realm. But that's not the thing that makes you worthy of love. That's not the thing that makes you worth anything, to be honest, in my opinion. Like, money does not impress me. I'm grateful for it. I am so grateful for what I have and what I've worked my ass off for, by the way, because I did not come from anything. I created what I have for myself and sustained myself, by the way. But I share. I share with my family. I share with different organizations, and that's also none of your business, because I'm not the type of bitch that likes to give in public. I've never been that way. I was not raised that way. You don't give to show off that you're giving, you know, or to prove that you're giving. I give when I feel it. I give to people who I think are incredibly deserving of help. I give to children and women, especially. I give to homeless people, especially. Almost every time I see someone on the street, if you're on the fucking street, you need this $20 more than I do right now, period. I don't need it. If I have cash on me, it's going. Because I don't need it. I have everything that I need and more. I can afford food for me and my family every day of my life. I don't have to think about that. I can even afford to feed my dog. You know? But that's not where I find my value. I do not find my value in how much money I have or how much I'm able to give or how much I'm able to have. And that's my point here. Is that a lot of the people that you guys emulate as being worthy, or a lot of the people that you emulate as being successful or happy, aren't. And you know why? Because they don't work on their souls. Or their mental health, for that matter. All they care about is wearing that Gucci belt. Or making sure that their fit is popping for Instagram. So that people can like them. And that's not even, that's not sustainable. Especially right now, in these times that we have, shit. When we're all quarantined, nobody's seen that goddamn Gucci belt. And that's, you know, Gucci belts cost? Do you know? About as many fucking followers, about as many people that are viewing this right now, that's how much that motherfucking costs. Do you know how many people you can feed with that money? And that's not to say I want to monitor how people spend their money. Fuck that, you know? You can spend your money however you want. But in reference to this question, I always thought I needed to be rich to be worthy. You do not. You do not. You are worthy simply because you're alive. And if you work your ass off to put food on the table for your kids, you are rich. If you have a roof over your head, you are rich. If you have a bed to sleep in at night, you are rich. If you have warm water to bathe in, you are rich. If you have a fucking fridge stocked with food right now, if you have access to toilet paper, if you have access to a TV, a fucking iPhone, every single one of you has an iPhone or an Android, you know what I mean? If you have that capacity, you are rich. You are already rich. If you have your basic necessities met, you are rich on a material level. Now, but how the fuck is your spirit doing? How is your spirit doing? Are you grateful for all of those things? Do you know how blessed you are? Do you think about how blessed you are? Do you thank God for it? Do you thank anyone for it? Your ancestors, spirit, the universe? When was the last time you said thank you? When was the last time that you even thought that made you rich? Some questions for your asses. All right, let's do another question. Here's a good one. These are just statements, but I think that they're thought-provoking statements, like prompts. I need to be told the good things about myself in order to believe it. First of all, that's valid. It is super valid for you to seek validation of your heart. That's part of being alive. That's part of being a human. That's part of seeking love and wanting to be loved, which is our true essence in nature, is to love and be loved. That is every single motherfucking, excuse me, let me not preface this like that. Every single canon, every single book, religious book that exists, right? You could talk about the Quran, the Bible, the Torah, there's a lot more than that, but just, you know, those three. Everything about it is pointing to love and be loved. So it is totally human of you to want that validation, right? The thing is, and here's the kicker, right? The kicker is, oye, are you telling yourself those things? Like, do you realize how much, like that, all of those good things about yourself that you need to be told in order to believe? You already know they're good things about yourself. So are you telling yourself that those are good things about yourself? Because you're not always going to have somebody there to tell you, unfortunately. This world is fucking cold. This world is cold, but there's no use in feeling more lonely than you already do when you're in a room by yourself. You know? The loneliness doesn't stem from being physically alone. This is the perfect time to be talking about this too. The loneliness stems from your inability to give yourself the love you're asking other people to give you. That's where the loneliness comes, in thinking that someone else has to tell you that you are those things in order for you to believe it about yourself. You already are those things. You already have that goodness inside of you. You already exhibit those things, whether someone wants to acknowledge them or not. So acknowledge your damn self. Like, you know what, Lauren? You are. You are a good person. Like, you show up for people you love on a regular basis, whether they show up for you back or not. You know? Oh, that's another good one. If you wouldn't say it to your best friend, don't say it to yourself. If you were going to say, like, treat yourself like someone that you love. Treat yourself like the person, like, think of the person you love the most in the world right now, right? And now imagine telling them some of the shit that you tell yourself. If you wouldn't say it to someone that you love, stop yourself when you're about to say it to yourself. And don't get mad at yourself for saying it to yourself either. Hold compassion for yourself. Have compassion for yourself and be like, you know what? I'm not going to say that nasty thing about myself today. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. It's not true. That is so important. And a lot of us have been told our whole lives so many lies about ourselves. And all of those things are projection stories, babe. People who are narcissists, people who can't see, people who aren't self-aware, people who don't have the capacity to be or want to be, people who choose ignorance and choose meanness and cruelty and project how much they hate themselves onto everyone around them. It's not your burden. That's not your burden. That's not your burden. And if no one's ever told you before, I'm telling you right now, it's not yours. That's not for you to hold on to. Let it go. Let it go and start talking to yourself like you love yourself, please. That's like a huge one. All right. Another one. I feel bad when people place expectations on me that I can't live up to. It's okay if you feel bad. It's okay. Validate that feeling, but still be aware that you can't. And that's a boundary. That's going back to boundaries, you know what I mean? That's a huge thing, is letting people know, hey, I love you and I wish that I could do this for you, but I genuinely cannot. And if they don't respect that, honey, again, that's not your problem. That's their problem. And if they want to get mad at you and make you feel guilty and make you feel shitty about themselves, that's their problem. It's still their problem. That's still coming from inside of them. You know? And also, you have to be aware that you have to keep the grace that you expect from other people. You have to keep that for others as well. What you're expecting from other people, when you need that grace and you need that space to not have to show up the way that you're being asked to, because you can't, you have to be willing to give that grace right in return when someone tells you the same thing. It's important. But it's okay that you feel shitty about it. Feel it, sit with it, and then let it go. Because it's not yours. That's for them to deal with. Their anger, you know? All right, let's do like 2 more questions. I'm gonna do 2 more questions. Okay, this is a good one just because this is important. Okay, both of my parents are narcissists and are responsible for a lot of my trauma. I want to work past it, but they refuse to listen. How many? Send a heart if you feel the same. Kiara, are you seeing the hearts? Keep sending hearts, guys. Just if you feel that way, if you feel like you resonate with this statement, just send the hearts. Send the hearts. Send the hearts. Look at all the hearts. Look at all the people who feel the same way, baby. Ooh, sorry. Yeah, this is a big one. And I also want to point out that our parents' generation, right, is a whole nother generation from ours. There are so many different things that so many realities that they were denied, so much information that wasn't given to them And they are also people who had to deal probably with narcissists who didn't validate their feelings. So when you can hold your parents in a light where you see them as people, just like you, versus, you know, a parent that's like, you know, this ultimate authority that's supposed to have it all figured out and should know everything and should have treated you perfectly. Unfortunately, a lot of our own parents went through their own traumas that they never healed from. And a lot of people have kids when they're still traumatized because they think that the kid will make them feel better about their trauma. Or they have no idea that they're even traumatized and they're just like going through survival mode, you know? So I think one of the biggest things for that is accepting that fact, you know, accepting that they're humans that probably went through their own shit too, that makes them incapable of relating to you or understanding the level of healing that you've reached. It's possible. Super, super possible. And on top of being possible, sometimes you can work through it. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of pain. It takes a lot of addressing. It takes talk therapy for a lot of people, especially when it comes to like narcissism. A lot of narcissists do not respect their kids and don't respect their kids' opinions or feelings or even understand what that means. Like, what? Like, you have feelings? Like, I have feelings. I have feelings. I'm the feeler. You know what I mean? And it's just like, okay, but like, there's two of us in this conversation. And I also have feelings, but yeah, I guess cool. Like, you're the authority figure. Go ahead and take all of it. And that's okay. And sometimes you need a mediator. I think mediators are super helpful. Whether you can afford talk therapy or not is a whole nother situation. So if you have someone in your life that you love and that you trust and that, you know, your family trusts as well, your parents trust as well, that understand you, having them as a mediator in the conversation could also be helpful. And then there's just the route that they might not grow out of their ignorance. They might not be able to, or have the capacity to, or have the understanding or the tools or the need or want. They're not self-aware enough, but you are. But you are. You are self-aware enough. And because of that, all in itself, just because of this statement that you just sent me even, you're already doing the healing work. You're already healing that intergenerational trauma that manifests in each of our realities. You know what I mean? Remember, this world that we're living in currently is a product of colonialism, which was literally the taking and raping of lands and genocide of indigenous peoples to claim land as their own and make their own systems that support white supremacy. Like, that's a basic that we're all like living in the aftermath of right now. In a country and in a world where people still don't even take responsibility for what has been done. People who still don't even acknowledge it as truth. People who deny, you know, people's existence and realities and are still committing genocide, like in front of our faces to this day, you know? So you have to understand that this world is a fucking toxic ass, disgusting place. So unfortunately, not everyone is going to have the self-awareness that you do. But the fact that you have it already in itself is a healing. Already in itself is a growth towards where you've got to be so that your kids don't go through what you went through. And your grandkids then don't go through what you went through. And you start the new cycle. Even if your parents never come around to it. You know, that's when you create your boundaries. Whether they respect it or not, truthfully, you are not required to keep anyone's feelings at bay. You need to protect your energy. If your parents are being disrespectful of that, or if they're both narcissists, you know what I mean? Or if you have other types of relationships where, you know, the person is a narcissist and they're not respecting you, you have every right to not engage with them, to not talk to them as often as they want and require. To not listen to the shit that they tell you that's not true. To not listen. You know, you're not have to listen. You're just there and but to not absorb it as truth. That's the big thing. It's like, it's not true. No matter how many times they say it, scream it at you, no matter how much they misunderstand you, no matter how many ways they try to devalue you and gaslight you and make you feel like you're fucking crazy for trying to be an adult, a real functioning one, you know, that talks about problems instead of just like screaming about them and pushing them under the rug or never talking about them. you're already doing the work. And you do not need to entertain anybody who gets in the way of that work. And it's hard. It's really hard, especially when it's your parents. It's fucking hard to create those hard boundaries. You know, to not pick up the phone when you know it'll hurt them. Because that's another thing, is a lot of kids of narcissists, you feel bad. You know, you feel really shitty about not being able to show up the way that they want you to show up, you know, and not being, you know, this perfect kid that they think they're supposed to have had, even though they, you know what I mean? Like, it's not on you. It's not your responsibility. And you are more than welcome. I invite you and I encourage you to create the boundaries that you need in your life to feel safe, to feel secure, to feel loved. And to know that the person that you think you are, you know, like the good person you think you are, you know, that person that like is really beautiful soul to everyone around them and who gives everyone love and who gives everyone light and who is constantly working on themselves and trying to be better. I acknowledge that person. I see you. I fucking see you and I feel you. And you deserve happiness, babe. You deserve love. And if anyone in your life is not showing you that or giving you the capacity to be that best version of you, what do we say, crowd? Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. Oh, great new meme for you guys. Congratulations. All right. Last one. See, there's people trying to go live. Nah, we'll just do questions today. Today's a questions day. Oh. Ooh, here's a good one. First of all, no sorries. You're not bothering me. You're never bothering by asking anybody questions that you need answers to. Ever. Even if you feel like they're stupid questions, quote unquote, ask them anyway. Ask them without a sorry attached to it. You are entitled to get your answers. How do you control the pain inside without bringing harm to yourself? That's a big one. Because I am queen self-sabotage. That's a heavy one, you know? That it's a process. It is a huge process. And I will say again that this process has a lot to do with self-love. And it goes back to that inner child and listening to them. What do they want? Ask your inner child, like, what do you want? What makes you happy? What makes you glow inside with pride and joy? Do more of that. And don't ask for permission. Not even from yourself, just do it. You know, you deserve to have fun. You deserve to live your life. You deserve positivity. So figure out those things that make you happy and focus on those as much as possible. And on top of that, again, you are a light being. Do you understand me? I don't give a fuck what anybody told you in your life. You are light. I don't care about what you've done. You could have done some shitty stuff. You could have been a shitty ass person before this moment right now that you're watching this live. I forgive you. God forgives you. You need to forgive you. And the second that you forgive you and you start to let go of this self-punishment attitude that, you know, that punishing yourself is going to make you be a better person or harming yourself is going to make you feel better. As soon as you get past that mentality, a whole world of joy waits for you on the other side, man. A whole world of peace, a whole world of laughter, and the whole other side to this world that we don't let ourselves experience very often, you know? You are light. You have the capacity to change. You have the capacity to grow. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to shed the parts of yourself that are no longer part of you anymore. No matter who shoves that past into your face on a daily basis, fuck them. You can choose right now, in this moment, every moment, you can choose to do better for yourself, for your growth, for your kids, for your life, for your reality. You can shift that shit whenever you want. Whenever you want. And it's way easier said than done, of course. And I will be the first to attest to that. I've been working on myself for like fucking 3-4 years. You know what I mean? Like, I became like self-aware. I've always been self-aware, but like really self-aware to where I was holding myself accountable as much as I was, asking for other people to be nicer to me, You just got to do the work. And it's not going to be easy because you got to face your demons and you got to shake hands with them and you got to give them a hug. You got to give your demons a hug. And demons are the worst, let me tell you. But you really, really have to just... You have to believe you're worthy of it. That's the most important part. So, I think you're worthy. I know Spirit does too. Promise. And yeah, you deserve happiness, baby. And absolutely don't harm yourself. Bringing harm to yourself isn't going to change anything, actually. It's just going to make you feel worse every time. Because then comes the guilt and the shame attached to whatever it was that you've done to yourself, Because at the end of the day, Spirit made you. You were created for a purpose. You weren't just created arbitrarily, You have a purpose. And we need each of you. Each of you, whether you know it or not, or whether you see it or not, or whether you've figured it out yet or not, you have a purpose. You were created for a very specific reason. And the quicker you get in touch with yourself, that's when everything's gonna change, baby, I promise. That's when everything's gonna align. When you stop giving a fuck about what other people tell you you are, and you start defining that for yourself and showing up as that person for yourself, it's a wrap. It's a fucking wrap. And on that note, it's a wrap. I love you guys so much. This was a great conversation. I loved your questions. I hope you gained something from this. Even the nasty ass motherfuckers who have gross comments. I hope that you... Actually, I send you so much love. Like, so much love. I have so much love for you in my heart and your healing. And I'm sorry about whoever it was that hurt you so nasty style that you feel like you have to be a projection of hatred and anger in this world in like a comment section. Like, I'm sorry that you have that kind of like anger and self-hatred inside of you. Like, I genuinely pray for you. Like, I pray for your health. I pray for your happiness. I pray that you find joy. I pray that you find you at the end of those comments and realize that the shit that you tell other people that you really think about yourself, it's not true. And with that, to all of the ones who do spread love, I give it to you back tenfold. I pray that you all have a beautiful weekend. I pray, well, today's Sunday, so I hope that you have a great week. For those of you going to work, please stay safe. For those of you not, please stay safe. I love you. I love you very much, and thank you for joining me. And come back and tune in next weekend because I have a special guest who's going to be really, really, really special and amazing. Someone I love very much. So I'll see you next weekend. Bye.